evening. Wait a minute, where's the Fire Stick? So that I could put Sky Sports on. Because I believe there's been a few games on this evening. And I believe that there's been a game on, including a couple of teams that Celtic will... Sky Sports. I want to talk about something quite serious, first of all, quite sad at the beginning of the video. Before we get talking about everything else, I think it's quite important to, as a Celtic family, to mention things that that affect the wider support. And there we go, just making sure that's okay. And then we'll jump into the comment section and see everyone who's in. So at the weekend, I did get a text regarding a fan that went missing, that did go missing, and it was quite sad. That Celtic fan was killed in a horror crash after he got on the wrong bus. A young Celtic fan tragically died in a horror crash after getting on the wrong bus after the Hearts game at the weekend. John Burns passed away after being hit by a vehicle on the M6 just outside Carlisle. It's believed that he got on one of the buses heading down south by mistake rather than the bus taking him back to Ireland. And his girlfriend and everything put out pleas trying to find him, saying it was unlike him to go off radar. His phone had died, but unfortunately he was hit by a vehicle just after 8 p.m. and his friends and family are absolutely devastated, and as are we all, because no one should go to a game of football and not come home, especially after getting on the wrong bus. And it's a heartbreaking story. And my heart goes out to the family of John Burns, who would be 23 tomorrow, and he'd probably been going to the game tomorrow. And people are wanting to have a minute's applause on the 23rd minute for the young lad, John Burns. So hopefully that happens at Celtic Park, and my heartfelt condolences go out to everyone that know the lad and his family. But life goes on, and we, as a channel, we need to sort of talk about what's going on next. So, with that being said, it's as hard as it is for the family. It's a hard one. It is a hard one. Anyway, let's jump in. A quick one also for Stephen Johnston. Stephen online. Let me just check if he's online first of all, just to make sure. I'll go back to the beginning. Yeah, Stephen. Big shout out to Stephen. And tomorrow morning's video, Stephen, I'm going to do, at the beginning of the video, I'll do a video for your carer to show her exactly how to get onto the membership part. I know that your carer's only in the morning, so I will do that for you in the morning. So look at that for tomorrow morning's video. I'll do that especially for you, my friend. And we'll get you sorted out with the membership. I still need to sort out other stuff, but we'll get that done in time. Anyway, let's jump into the comment section first of all before we talk about anything to do with the game tomorrow. First up, it was actually Stephen Johnson. Big shout out to Stephen Johnson. Mr. Quinn was in. Hail, hail, Stephen. And James says, hail, hail, Baz. James says, hail, hail, boys and girls. Stephen Johnson comes up. Paul Baird is in the house saying, hail, hail, Stephen. And Stephen Johnson says, hail, Paul Baird. Nicola says, hail, hail, 3-0 tomorrow. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. The Milton Provos. The Milton Provos. Sorry, I'm just getting an update on my niece, who has had an operation today to have her appendix out. So she's all fine after that, which is good news. Anyway, Nicola's in the house. How was your return home to the Kingdom of Fife? It was fantastic, Nicola. As much as Fife is home, and it is the Kingdom of Fife, I think Spain's really now my home. It's good going back and seeing family, but it's fantastic being back here. We've just been out to a restaurant, a brand new, and I think we're lucky we stay in a place that rather than pubs closing down, you generally get, if a pub closes down here, it generally opens back up bigger and better a few months later. And there is a new tapas bar type restaurant that's just opened just along the road. And we just went and sampled the food, and the food was absolutely amazing. The steak was out of this world. So lucky to stay in a place that the food is just unbelievable, and it's cheap as chips. I mean, the two of us just went out and had a 3-course meal for €58. €58, and that was including a couple of pints and a couple of glasses of wine for the missus and coffee. Stuff, you just can't beat it. You cannot beat it. Anyway, that's enough of that. Thank you for asking, Nicola. Lorna Gallagher says, good evening, everyone. Hope you're okay. Good evening to Stephen. Stephen Johnson says hello to Nicola, and Nicola says hello to Stephen. Jen, how's your niece going, Baz? She's doing fine. She's had her appendix out. She had her appendix out today, so all good. Stephen, you're one of the boys. Kieran is in the house. Just jump through some of these comments. Paradise found. Villa looked quite impressed. I got a text about that just before I came online, actually. Villa looked quite impressive tonight. I think our back four will have their work cut out. Hey, how you doing, Stephen Johnston? Lorna says, hey, Kieran, all's good. And then there's quite a lot of other people. Gemma's in the house. James Clark's in the house. Liz Donnelly is in the house. Carly is in the house. Zach's in the house, Tam Mack's in the house, Sean's in the house, Michael Ross is in the house, Gemma's in the house, Gary is in the house, Lucy Ann is in the house. Good evening and welcome to the channel, Lucy Ann. Sean's in the house, Paul McCune's in the house, Catherine Jackson is in the house also, and a lot of condolences messages. Mike O'Brien's in the house, Chris McNally, Michelle Shaw, and Kyle Lee. A lot of new names on the comments tonight, which is absolutely fantastic. Make sure you share the video, get as many Celtic fans on as possible. Right, never mind about Aston Villa. It's all going to be about the Celtic. I don't care what Aston Villa looks like, because I believe that the team that we're playing had a bit of a calamity. We'll talk about the predicted lineup in a minute or two. But Brendan Rodgers, we need to talk about him first of all. Brendan Rodgers is the man who is really happy to be back in competitive Champions League football. Brendan Rodgers believes that Celtic have never been better prepared to go into a Champions League campaign. That's a big statement for the manager. That's a massive statement. He believes that Celtic have never been more prepared to go into a Champions League campaign. As a man that knows a lot about... Why am I watching this shit? What's this? Wait a minute. Barnsley? What the fuck am I watching? Barnsley? What the fuck? Oh, where's Sky Sports News? Sorry. There we go. AC Milan are beating Liverpool. Wow. Champions League is back in full effect. Anyway, Brendan Rodgers says he wants to put years of misery in the Europe's elite club competition behind us this season. Callum McGregor's been talking about that also. Celtic were the first British club to win the European Cup back in 1967, defeating Inter Milan 2-1 in the final in Portugal. A final in Portugal in that fantastic old stadium that, and even to this day, still gets Celtic fan making that journey to stand in that glorious old stadium. And the fact that it is the exact same way it was back in 1967 is special for Celtic fans. It isn't one of these grounds that's been modernised and doesn't look anything like it, but you can get to stand where people's grandfathers stood and where that fantastic team stood. And I can remember a few years ago there was a lot of fans went over for the 50th year anniversary and getting to stand on that pitch where the magic happened and Celtic won the Champions League. Rodgers, now in his second spell as manager, has presided over just 2 wins in 18 games in the Champions League, but somehow this year we think that he's going to amass 10 points. Anything less would be seen as failure. Nevertheless, listen, Brendan Rodgers will lead Celtic into the Champions League tomorrow evening against Slovan Bratislava. We've had a fantastic start to the season. Let's just hope that we can take it into the Champions League. Having scored 14 goals and conceded none, let's hope that we can take that clean sheet performance into the Champions League. There is absolutely no doubt this feels like the most ready I've ever been as Celtic manager coming into a Champions League campaign, says Brendan Rodgers. He says it's a real challenging level for teams like ourselves. We've got to be at our absolute maximum to benefit, especially how the game has developed in the financial side. And it has developed across Europe, where you're getting even bigger TV money. And I think that Celtic need to be in this competition on a regular basis to make sure that we can go out and spend 10, 11 million pounds regularly on players that will make us better and hopefully compete a bit better. There's always a belief in this club that we can get our squad really to a really competitive level. We can do it here at home and make this a special place. We still have to be really competitive at this level. There's been a lot of occasions where no fault of our players, but because the players have given them absolutely everything, but they just weren't at that level. They weren't Champions League level ready, which was a big statement from Brendan Rodgers. They just weren't at that level, and that's the reality of it. And that's what I'm speaking about last year at the Champions League, speaking about Lagerbielke and such, who cost us. He did score a goal, let's be honest, he did score a goal against Feyenoord, but speaking about players like that, and they're just not at the Champions League level. The manager wants to go out and spend money on players that are at the level. The way that I look at the club now, says Brendan Rodgers, is progressing, is looking forward. You see, the club he has supported, the club has supported us in a fantastic way during the summer. As well as good as being dominant in Scottish football, we don't want to be known as that club that's dominant, and the benchmark is not just winning the league, which I'm glad Brendan Rodgers said that, because a lot of Celtic fans are happy just winning the league, winning trebles and collecting the cash and having a little 2 or 3 games into Europe and just being there as bystanders. Brendan Rodgers says we don't just want that to be the benchmark. We want to improve and we want to do well in Europe. It's an amazing level to be involved in. I love the challenge. I relish the challenge. The players love playing at it at this level. When you work at it all year, you win the league, you win your title, you get to nights like this, it will be amazing for them, says Brendan Rodgers. You just feel the emotion and you feel the inner fan coming out in Brendan Rodgers, is which we all want to achieve. And I've not even thought of a poll tonight, actually. Let me run through the comments and see if there's anything. What can we have a poll? Me the knee, Kieran. Delusional Huns. Delusional Huns? What the Huns going on about? It's a must-win tomorrow. Must win, says it. Michael Ross. Kieran, where's the Londonderry? Never heard of it. It's free dairy. Who's saying Londonderry? Jesus. Even Peeps just on. What have I missed? Says Karen Wilson. Karen, we opened the video with the sad news that a Celtic fan passed away that was meant to be on a bus returning to Ireland, and he got on the wrong bus and was heading down towards Liverpool and Coventry, and he got off the bus at Carlisle and started walking up the motorway and was unfortunately hit by a vehicle on the M6 near Carlisle and on Saturday, and he passed away, which is unfortunate and it's devastating, to be honest. But anyway, we need to talk about the football as much as we can send our condolences. The show must go on, as they say. Paulo Bernardo has been talking about, what can we do a poll about? Tell me in the comments. I've not even thought about a poll tonight. Will Celtic keep a clean sheet and score +2? First non-Latin team to win it. Yes, we were that. Consistent and unbroken since 1888. Yep, we were that. Right, let's do a poll question, because it's early on. There's been 500 views already. There's 192 people currently online. There's a lot of people just jump on and off. Start a poll, Baz. It's a question that we've kind of asked already, though, isn't it? So, yeah, that'll do. It's a crappy question tonight, but I've not even thought about it because we have been in for real. Can Celtic win 3 games in the Champions League this year? And the reason that we're saying that is Brendan Rodgers thinks that the team has never been more more ready to go into the Champions League. We all want to have that success in the Champions League. At a minimum, we need to win at least 3 games in the Champions League before. Brendan Rodgers has been involved at Celtic in this level, and his record isn't too great. Let's be perfectly honest. With just 2 wins in 18 Champions League group stages in charge. He's had wins against Anderlecht and Feyenoord. But we're expecting this team to win at least a minimum of 3 or 4 games in the Champions League this season. And going by that record, I'm saying personally, the way that I'm going to look at it is, let's just enjoy this season in the Champions League, and let's just enjoy every game at a time. And I think if we do that, we did. Do you know what? Do you know why I'm thinking that? Right, this is my reasoning behind it. See the season that we went to Seville. Nobody thought at the beginning of that season that we would get to Seville. We took it 1 game at a time. And yes, we did start looking at teams, when it gets to the likes of, everyone said at the time, as long as we missed Porto until the final. Porto was the only team that you were really had a little question mark about. And it was like, if we can get to the final, and then once we beat Blackburn, and then once we beat Liverpool, you start to believe that, you know what, we might actually do this. And at that time, beating Blackburn was massive for Celtic. And it was just years before that Blackburn were actually the Premier League champions. And then when you get Liverpool, when we beat Liverpool, you kind of start believing. And I want Celtic fans to do that this year. I want us to all do that. It's just go into every game thinking 1 game at a time, and then having that little bit of belief. If we can win the next game, if we could do this, if we could just get enough points. And it's going to be hard enough as it is, but that's the way that we looked at it in 2003. And I want us as a fan base to have that little bit of anticipation. And whilst looking forward, we're never going to win it. We're never going to get into the last 8 and things like that. It would be pure luck if we did, and a fantastic draw. Something that's never been too kind to us. Well, it was kind to us last year. But if we can just, as a fan base, just look at it 1 game at a time and focus on putting all our energy into backing the team for that 1 game and get that little bit of excitement. That run to Seville was fantastic. Do you know the anticipation of, can we win this game? And I know as Celtic fans, and they'll sing, this is the day that we win away when we go to Europe and when we get a fantastic, and they start it at the beginning of the games. This is the day that we win away. We will rejoice and get mad with it. We've all been there and we've all sang it as fans that go to European away games. But I think just getting back to that 2003 mantra of just 1 game at a time, not looking too far forward, and just taking it all in, because that's what we did back then. Faith and belief, says Spacey. Exactly. I'm 57 and I've only seen 1 manager do well for us in Europe, and that was O'Neill. Michael, you're way older than me. Way older. Thank goodness. It's Derry. It's free Derry. There's been a lot of argument going online about Derry. I'm just reading some of the comments. Anyway, I did ask, can Celtic win 3 games in the Champions League this season? With Brendan Rodgers' record of only winning 2 in the last 18. It is a big ask, but Brendan Rodgers does seem to think that this Celtic team is a little bit more, he's never been more prepared for the Champions League. Now, Celtic did put out their gallery. They put out the gallery of players training today. And you see Nico Kuhn with Rio Hatate, Paulo Bernardo. Seem to have all the wingers training together. That's the way that they do it now, eh? Schmeichel, what is this big blow up things that Schmeichel's got in front of him. And we're going to talk about the team in a minute, and I'm just looking through Alistair Johnson, and the one, everybody looks happy and fit and, don't know, raring to go, smiles on it. There's big Cameron Carter-Vickers, big man himself that sets women's, he melts women's hearts, doesn't he? The big man. I know women over here that just go, they're like that as soon as they see it. It's like, a fucking football player, shut up you crazy woman. And then the captain, Calmac, the legend. And Callum McGregor is a Celtic legend. He's going to be he's a living legend. Let's not, tell me in the comments, do you believe that Calmac is a living legend? It's a term that we use for players. It's a term that we use for players that left Celtic, and Scott Brown was legend, leader and captain. I think that it's about time that we started using legend for Callum McGregor, for what he's been through as a player, and for the, Callum McGregor's a player that of his quality, he could have walked in to any team down south, and it's about time that fans started recognising. I mean, he was the only, when Scott Brown left, he was the only person that could have been captain. He was the only person. He was made. He was born to be Celtic captain. And anyway, the next picture was the one and only Arne Engels, and then Paulo Bernardo. And of course, Brendan Rodgers is standing with the training staff with their winter coats on, freezing their chucks off. And what was the temperature here today? I don't even know. It was about 28 degrees or something. And Rio Hatate just looking. Do you think Rio Hatate ever smiles? And then everybody in the club getting trusty. Bring up the 1 to the 2 to the 3. Everybody here is looking at me, sitting in the club. Everybody in the club looking trusty. Hey, don't ever do that again, Baz. Anyway, let's get on to the predictions of the team for tomorrow. We all know that Celtic will line up 4-3-3 to face Slovan Bratislava. We won't talk about Bratislava when it comes to the wee ginger manager that we once had, wee Gordon Strachan, because he had an absolute nightmare against Bratislava back in the day. But Kasper Schmeichel will retain his position in goals. Just well said, Kieran. Let me just see what Kieran says. I'll jump into these comments first. Calmac sure is. Wex says, done the same with Sam Fox in the 80s, Baz. I done the same with Sam Fox in the Why did I read that one first? Sam Fox in the 80s. God, remember that. Jesus. Take a drink of Hun Tears. Hun Tears. 100% Calmac. Gary says 100%. Yes, Calmac is a legend. Kevin says yes, 100% Calmac's a legend. Lorna says yes, sure is. Calmac is a legend. Kieran says, speaking as a man from Bogside, I can tell you it's Derry, and that other place never existed. I take it somebody put the L in front of Derry, which you never do. You never do. It's Derry. It's always been Derry. Yes, he's a legend, said Mark. Andrew says Calmac, top boy. Patrick Toner says, Patrick Toner, coming out of Belfast. How are you, my friend? Calmac is a living legend. Yes, he is. Calmac is definitive legend. And who was that? Oh, God, it's just jumped through. I just missed a load of comments. That was Ernest says that. Karen Wilson said, Snap Lorna. That's well said. Kieran McGraw said Calmac's a great player. Lucianne says yes. Sam says no. Only Larson is a legend in the modern era. We are a small club if these guys are legends, says Sam. Well, Sam, you'll be over the moon that Celtic are about to bring out another Larson biography. So you'll be over the moon at that. You'll be over the moon at that Celtic are going to milk the fans again and bring out another... My chair's not rocking back the way. Jesus. Yes, that's true. Go into the Celtic website and you'll see that Celtic are about to bring out another Larson book. Larson... Anyway, move on. Liz Dinelly says, yes he is, Baz. The Hall of Fame we're not getting into Hall of Fame pish like that mob across the road. I think when you get to 500 games, like James Forrest, yeah, you go into Hall of Fame stuff. Kalmak is your third choice striker and a legend. Is he a third choice striker? Rest in peace, Mochara, Martin from Ireland. Yeah, that's talking about the young guy who passed away. We spoke about at the beginning of the video. Jen says Kalmak is a legend. Carly says what the actual... Paul Baird says, in terms of with teams to play in Champions League, 3 wins is a must. Stephen Johnson thinks he's a legend also. Is that dancing feet? Spacey says he's a legend. The Maestro is a legend. That's a different era though, isn't it? Could you imagine Kalmak? I'd love to get one of these AI generated football games where you could have Kalmak and Paul McStay in the same team and John Collins. That would be a fucking team and a half. John Collins, Paul McStay and Callum McGregor in that same team. Now, who would you have sitting just at the back of them? Would you have Paul Lambert or Neil Lennon? I'd go for Paul Lambert personally. Because Paul Lambert won the Champions League. And he done that whole midfield role fucking brilliantly. And he was dab handy at scoring for distance as well, especially against the Rangers. Because imagine that as your midfield. Paul Lambert, Callum McGregor, John Collins and Paul McStay. Oh my God, that's stuff of wet dreams for Celtic fans. Anyway, Michael Rossi, to be fair, Baz, I might be 7, but I've a full head of hair. Michael, wait a minute, I've got something for you. I shave my head. I've got hair, but I shave it. And there's nothing better than getting the Gillette, getting gel foam, putting it on your head, putting it on your pus, and then wet shaving it. Double shave, and you feel that good and smooth, baby. I tell you. And then the woof. That's what the women are like. Woof. Sexy motherfucker. That was just for you, Michael. Anyway, Ian Roy says, how about Paul Lambert, Champions League winner? Well, I said that, Ian. Captain, leader, legend. Yes, that's what we called Bruni. But is Kalmak in that same era? I think personally is. Who could really care says, what I've missed. Sam Fogg doesn't like Bobby now. Says Peter King. Oh, Jesus. Well, all the men are one. Paradise Found, I agree. What does Paradise Found say? I'm missing Paradise. No, Michael, I'm just saying that it gives us hope. They seem vulnerable at the back. I must be talking about one of the teams that played tonight. Big Roy Aitken's a legend. Big Roy Aitken, my dad's old friend, and I can remember meeting Roy as a kid, and I can remember meeting Bobby Lennox as a kid and have no idea who Bobby Lennox was. Just my old man's mate. I knew who Roy Aitken was because he was Celtic captain at the time. And then meeting him years later when I was about the same height and a wee bit taller than him, I'm like, Jesus, Roy, you're not that big. When I was a kid, I thought, fucking Roy Aitken's this giant of a man. Roy Aitken is a true legend in my heart. Bruni is a legend. Paradise Found, I agree. Kalmak is already bigger than Bruni. That's interesting because Bruni... Is Bruni one more than Kalmak? We're related to McStay. We are all members of the Celtic family. That is very true. Right, I'm going to jump through the comments. Definitely Baz. When I said Engels hit the ball, I thought maybe backtrack. We'll still take 10 points from the Champions League, said Gerald Johnson. Put it to a poll, Baz. Who's bigger? Kalmak or Bruni? Right then, we've had 130 votes on that poll. Will Celtic win 3 games? We'll end that poll. And we'll put it to the people out there. There's been 919 people on the live so far. There's 217 currently on. A lot of people jumping on and off tonight. I don't like doing this one because Bruni's a fifer. And I'm Bruni daft. Do you know what I mean? I know where Bruni comes from. And I know that the struggles that people in his area went through. I don't like doing this one, but you've asked for it. Who's the bigger legend? Jesus, who's the bigger legend? Calmac or Bruni? And that will split fans, that will tell you. That'll be honest. He'll hear for the Coventry Emerald. Martin was... I'm not even going to ask that question. Danny McGrain, what a player. Yes, Danny, fantastic player. Bruni is like a god, like Larson. Calmac will be bigger, but maybe not yet. Well, there's a poll asking who's the bigger legend as it stands, Calmac or Bruni. I've put yes or no. Put yes for Calmac and no for Bruni. No, in fact, that's stupid. End poll. 2 seconds. I'm going to end that poll. I'm going to do it right. Who's the bigger legend? Calmac. There we go. Who's the bigger legend, Calmac or Bruni? So you've got 2 choices, Calmac and Bruni. Start voting. There's 227 people on. There's 957 been on the live so far, so there's a lot of people jumped back off. Talking about Bratislava, Baz. Talking Paradise fans, it's talking about Bratislava. Yes or no doesn't make sense. Yeah, no, that's why I changed it. Bruni. Hard one. Yes for Bruni. There we go. Who's the bigger legend, Calmac, Bruni? Get voting. There's been 40 odd votes already. That is a hard one. And anyway, right, let's get back to we were talking about Paulo Bernardo. Paulo Bernardo knows all about Champions League football, coming from, well, that team in Portugal. The Portuguese midfielder played all of 6 Celtic's group stages in the last Champions League run last season. With games to Atletico Madrid and Lazio, coming on as a substitute for the other 4. Have now moved to Glasgow on a permanent this summer. The 22-year-old, got to remember that Paulo Bernardo is only 22-year-old. Paulo Bernardo is looking forward to the Champions League to experience it as a full-time Celtic player. And that could come tomorrow night when Brendan Rodgers picks the team against Slovan Bratislava as we get match day 1 underway. The new league-style format this season means that having 4 home games and 4 away fixtures against 8 different opponents, Celtic are hoping to kick off their campaign with a victory. Speaking ahead of Wednesday night, Paulo Bernardo said, "It's always exciting. We live for these moments and this competition as players. As a kid, I always wanted to see and play in Champions League matches. It's really nice to be here now. It's a different format, so we know there's more chances now because it is a league. It's good for us, but it's a step-by-step game," just what I was talking about. "Let's see what we can achieve," says Paulo Bernardo. I'm getting buzzing for it already. I'm absolutely getting buzzing for it. I've just noticed, actually, we're sitting on 18,903. So let's get us to that 19,000. Let's get us to that 19,000s before the game tomorrow. Let's see if we can do that. If you haven't subscribed, please do. We'll try to hit that 19,000 and then get on to the 20 before. I want to get to 20 before the end of the year. I want to smash that 20 and get way past that before the end of the year. Anyway, Paulo Bernardo says, "It's always difficult, but we are here to dream. As much as we want to achieve that knockout stage as players. We will do our best and we'll try tomorrow to take the first step to do that," says Paulo Bernardo. "I didn't see the game against Slovan Bratislava as an easy game. We have to do our jobs, and if we do that well, we can get the 3 points. We need to focus, but we need to respect our opponents," says Paulo Bernardo. Paulo has started the season in fantastic form. He's picked up from where he left off with Celtic last season. The team is on that 5 winning streak win. Hopefully that will go to 6 in all competitions tomorrow. "There's fierce competition for places," said Paulo Bernardo, "especially with the arrival of new faces during the recent transfer window. But the midfielder is relishing the challenge and trying to stake a claim for a place in the starting 11. He believes that competition can only be beneficial to him and the rest of the team. I always want to start, says Paulo. I will continue to work hard, whether I'm starting or whether I am on the bench. We have competition with each other, but that's what we're here to do, is to win our spot in the team. We've had a very good start to the season. We've had a really good pre-season in America. The team were really good. We are in a very good moment, and we're very happy and very excited to be on the pitch tomorrow. The Champions League has the best teams in Europe, so we're playing against the best. So we have to be our best too. Big teams in this competition are always difficult to play against, but we are a big team, and we are here to compete, says Paulo Bernardo. And get in there, fighting talk for Paulo. Sevco, we are in no competition when Bruni was captain. Who cares? Both Bruni for his time at Paradise and Kalmar for now has certainly stepped up since Bruni left. That was funny, Stephen Brogan. Kalmar brings his replacement though. No easy games in this league. No, there's not. Martin Johnson says, mind when my favourite player was Frank McAvenny. Frank McAvenny. I can remember when he was a fantastic player for Celtic, but now he's one of those Celtic ones. But never mind. The question was, there's been 82 votes. There's 215 on. Make sure that you vote. Who's the bigger legend, Kalmack or Bruni? 66% are going with Bruni. I love Bruni, but I'd love to see big Roy Aitken over him. Baz, you wouldn't swap tonsil steak for mince and tatties. It's what? No way Rodgers starts Bernardo ahead of Hatate. I don't think he will start him ahead of Hatate. Well, you never know. I think Brendan's got a massive choice. Feed the bear. Feed the bear. That's what I did tonight. Anyway, let's talk about the team predictions for tomorrow. Kasper Schmeichel is obviously going to be in goals with... Will Sinisalo make the bench, or due to the fact that we need a Scottish contingent, I think that our Scottish keeper, yes, that forgotten man, might make the bench tomorrow. It'll be interesting to see what happens, because obviously once Sinisalo getting that, seeing how we play in the Champions League and experience it. Alistair Johnson, he'll get the nod over Tony Ralston as normal. Greg Taylor will get the nod before Alex Valley, I suspect, because Brendan Rodgers will go with the tried and trusted. Or will he make a big shock and the young boy from Barcelona comes in to take Greg Taylor's place? Trusty, will he get a game? I think he will definitely make the bench, and Stephen Welsh will make the bench also, which means Cameron Carter-Vickers and Liam Scales, who are the ones to just dislodge. You're never going to dislodge Cameron Carter-Vickers, so Scales has a fight on his hands, because everybody in the club's getting Trusty. Big up the 1 to the 2 to the 3. Everybody Trusty's looking at me. Anyway, that's absolutely... Brendan Rodgers needs to decide that, but I think that'll be the back four. Cameron Carter-Vickers, Liam Scales, Taylor, and the one and only Alistair Johnson. Alex Valley will make the bench, and Trusty will make the bench also. The same with Stephen Welsh. When it looks at the midfield, Callum McGregor, the living legend, will walk out Celtic Park again. He'll stand in that tunnel as he always does, just not even flinching. No emotion whatsoever on Callum McGregor's face as he stands in that tunnel, focused on the job in hand. Wonder what he thinks. Somebody should ask him that. Somebody should ask Callum, see when you're in the zone, and in the tunnel, and you're about to walk out in a big game, what's going through your mind? That's the kind of question. See, if I got to these interviews, that's the kind of question I'd ask. It's like, Callum, when you're standing in the tunnel and you're standing in the zone, what goes through your head as a player? What goes through your mind as a player? It'd be fantastic to get that inside knowledge of Callum. Anyway, he'll be our skipper and deep line playmaker, and just fantastic player. Will Arne Engels start? The Belgian holds fantastic ability, but will he start before Paulo Bernardo and Rio Hatate? I think Paulo Bernardo and Rio will start the game. They have the experience of playing for Celtic at this level, but Arne Engels could be a fantastic new force. Will he replace Paulo Bernardo or Rio Hatate? And then you've got young Luke, who will be our super sub. young Luke will be the player that comes on and that really, really, really gives some of these European teams. Lorna says no more of that singing. Come on, you love it when it's a little bit of out of tune singing. You don't get that on any other channel, do you? It's all about entertainment. It could be good entertainment, it could be bad entertainment. Anyway, who knows? So, Matt's baby started kicking when you were singing. For people who don't know, Gemma is pregnant, and not by me, but by her husband. And yeah, the baby started kicking. Fuck you, Chachi. What the hell? Mama. It just killed me. See, now you've got me going. Anyway, let's get back to the predictions for the team. So in midfield is going to be Callum McGregor, Rio Hatsate, and the one and only Paulo Bernardo, I think. But will the manager change it up and give Arne Engels a start? The super sub will be the one and only Luke McCowan, and I think he's going to be a little bit of a surprise for teams in the Champions League, because they won't know who Luke is, and they'll just think that he's a player that's a Scottish player that's maybe came from a lower league, a lower team in Scotland, and not put too much on him. I think players and opponents will be a bit surprised at what Luke comes and gives us to the game. In attack will be Kyogo Furuhashi. He will definitely start the game, and then Dyson will be on one side, while Nico Kuhn will be on another. I think it's the same team that started at the weekend, I know that. But I think what Nico Kuhn and Dyson bring to the game, and if Kyogo can stick one in the back of the net early on and get his confidence through the roof. I mean, Kyogo went one-on-one with Craig Gordon at the weekend early on and put it wide. When you're just thinking back, and we've seen so many repeats of Larson goals where he's one-on-one on the keeper and he just flicks it over and then he makes it look so easy. But Kyogo seems to just rush at things and you know, and we're sitting thinking, God, Kyogo, just a wee dink over it. Mate, just take your time. Calm down and concentrate and just flow. Let the ball flow with you. Anyway, I think that will be the front three. Lewis Palmer will be on the bench, and Jamesy Forrest. I think those two will come on as second half substitute. Jamesy Forrest making his foray into the Champions League once again for Celtic will be the icing on the cake for that lad, for being in the Champions League so many seasons in a row. Stop comparing Kyogo to Larson, says Michael. A lot of people do it. Gemma says the baby wasn't kicking, it was squirming because its ears were burning. Callum Wilson says it's going to be 3-0 tomorrow. Right, with that being said, my favourite 80s player were McStay, McGrain and Tommy Burns. I can remember going out for a meal with my dad and Roy Aitken and Paddy Bonner and Murdo McLeod, and in walks Tommy Burns and Rosemary. And Tommy Burns had a big long trench coat on with these wee round glasses, and I'm like, Tommy Burns has got glasses on. And as a kid, I'm like, Tommy Burns has got glasses on. It's back in the day when you never really seen a lot of people with glasses, but they big thick NHS things, and it was these wee round spectacles, smart as anything. But anyway, what do you think the score will be tomorrow? Realistically, I am going to go, and here we do it, Celtic. It's going to be a hard one. Let's realistically think about this one, Baz. Bratislava win. I think it's going to be a close game. There's my prediction. 2-1 is Celtic. Put your predictions in. I hope that we can keep a clean sheet, but I am being realistic at the level that we're playing in. My neighbour just lost her dog off the leash when Bass started singing. Says Peter. A win is the only result tonight that will be acceptable. Yes. Spacey says 2-0 Celtic. There's loads of other ones comes in. Anglin Escher says 2-0 Celtic. Liz Donnelly says 2-0 Celtic. Kieran says 2-0 Celtic. Jaron says 2-0. Must win, says Carly. She's then going for 3. She's not even given a score, as Dave Hislop was going for 3-1. 2-0 says Lorna. Stephen Johnson says 3-2. Oh, Stephen, that's a bit tight. I think you 2-1's tight, but 3-2 to Celtic. Martin Johnston's going for 2-0. Joseph's going for 2-0. Charlie Nicholas, utter fabulous player for us, despite being a knob. Pundit now, says Michael Ross. Just throwing out that comment there. Big Rab B Niz says 2-0. 2-1 to the Tick, says Andrew. 2-0. That just jumped way ahead. Fucking Carly's on a rage. Norman says 2-0. Carly says 3-0. I'm not sure about who's starting in the starting 11. Just as long as we get the first win in the bag. Hail, hail. Come on, the hoops. 2-0, says Jamesy Boy. Karen Wilson says, what have you been drinking tonight, Baz? Just Honduras. Honduras. I'm buzzing for the game tomorrow, Karen. And we went out for a fantastic meal beforehand. And I got 400 grams of steak. And oh my God, I was like meat sweats after it. I was like, it was too much. It's too much. 400 grams of steak on your plate. And you're like, oh my God. Brilliant. Anyway, 2-0 says Jonathan. Carly says 3-0. Green Machine says 1-0. Kevin McKinley says 3-2. Carly says, fuck it, 5-0. Jonathan Lang says 2-0. Green Machine says 1-0. Kevin says 3-2. John N says 2-0 win. Gemma says 1-0. You don't want to hear mine, says Bobski. Why not? Michael Ross says 1-0. Stephen Brogan says 2-1. We'll be 2 up, and then they'll get away goals don't matter in this one. Away goals don't matter anymore in the Champions League, and especially with the new format. Then I'll have my arse in my mouth until full time. Says Stephen. 2-1 Celtic, says Michael Ross. Oh boy, 7-4 thriller. Says Michael Ross. Oh my God. I said 3-0, you're talking blind motherfucker. You changed it, Carly. Anyway, Gary Hendry says 3-0. Plunge McNugget says 2-1. Big Casper, right on clean sheet record, says Martin Johnson. Let's hope he does. Bobski says, I hope I win. I don't know what the other team are or where they're from. Steak is my favourite, says Carly. Any winning scoreline is acceptable in the Champions League. Yep, it is that. Baz, who won the most current Celtic team? Who's won the most in the current Celtic team? James Forrest. 400 grams of coke by the looks of it. You're hyper. I'm always hyper before the night at the Champions League. Always. And I don't do coke. Something wrong because I don't do... No, I don't. The days are well gone past me, and the missus would go fucking mental if I did. Jesus. She'd go absolutely mental. 2-0 tomorrow, says Daniel. 4-1 to Celtic, says... It's a Champions League. Of course you've got to be buzzing. You cannot not be buzzing for the Champions League. What's wrong with you people? What's wrong with you people? It's like, this is what we live for. I used to love it when your Champions League tickets come through in the post, and it was like, you've got your 3 tickets, and it's like, hey, no, it just goes on your card. Anyway, 2-0 tomorrow, says Daniel. Stewie says 4-1. 4-1. Paul Kelly says, but this is Baz without the baseball cap. Probably no far wrong, actually. You're no far wrong. Pork Chop says, red meat clogs your colon. No, it doesn't. Tell you, try the Mediterranean diet. It's so high in protein. Anyway, looked like a jug of 4 Lorco. No, it is, what is it called? It's Aquarius. 2-0 says Chris Murray in a clean sheet. 3-0 says Celtic mad. Paradise Found says Michael Ross, that's a big shout. The scoreline between Real Madrid and Anderlecht way back at Hampden. 0-0 says Bobski. Well, that's brought us down to earth, isn't it? Jesus. It's worse than a come down. It's not going to be 0-0. Surely. Anyway, a question I asked was, who was the bigger legend? With 122 votes, with over 1,344 people on the live, and there's still 229 on, but there's only 123 votes. Bruni or Calmac? Bruni is winning the legendary status. Unclogging mine at the minute. If any Huns are watching, dig in. That's just wrong. We're currently watching Celtic Liverpool game on the TV, and I've got Baz on the phone. Celtic game tomorrow, looking good. Multitasking, says Gemma. Baby's kicking. Potion and lemonade. Any Celtic win, says Paul at the end of the day. Yep, that's true. Cloudy lemonade. No, it's not cloudy lemonade. It's Aquarius is it's one of these isotonic drinks. They drink it out here because you want to replace your salts and stuff because it's so damn hot. Anyway, Kyogo and Maida score first early in the 5 minutes. If Kyogo and Dyson scored first, I think we could be in for a fantastic night. A lot to talk about what was said about Jota. I don't really care, to be honest. Anyway, that is the Celtic news for tonight, and I'll just briefly go over what we spoke about at the beginning, because I think that it's one of the most heartbreaking things ever when a young lad gets on a bus and gets on the wrong bus and then has to get off the bus to try and get back up to where he gets his ferry home, and he's ran over in the motorway, and that's what happened to a young Celtic fan on Saturday evening. John Burns passed away after being hit by a vehicle on the M6 near Carlisle after his phone battery ran out. Nobody knew about it until a day or so later. Following tragic's death of the young lad, his family and friends have paid tribute to him on social media, saying it was heartbreaking. Sorry, thinking of your gorgeous boy. And I just send out my heartfelt condolences to John Burns. On Wednesday, everyone's been asked to participate in a minute's applause on the 23rd minute for John Burns. So hopefully that will take place, and it will give his friends and family a little bit of comfort knowing that the wider Celtic family are thinking about them at such a sad time. Sounds fishy. Aquarius sounds fishy. Anyway, Chris My Ass is going for 3-0 tomorrow. Engels first goal. That's if Engels starts tomorrow. It'll be interesting to see if he does start. Anyway, there's been 1,390 people on the live tonight. It's currently 225. I think we're going to wrap it up there, and then I can get ready, and we need to finish the poll first of all. So I did ask, pretty surprised that there's not been more people voting on this. Who's the bigger legend, Kalmak or Bruni? If you want to vote, you've got 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, end poll. The poll has ended, the final poll of the evening. It was only 131 votes, considering there's been 1,400 people have watched the video so far. People are just jumping on to see what the sad news is. But we have to go on. Anyway. Going to be thinking of John all night now, says Carly. Of course, Miguel. Rest in peace, John. I couldn't vote Baz. I love them both, said Lorna. Anyway, that is us for this evening. Stephen Johnson, remember that I will do, in the early part of tomorrow morning's video, I'll do a little snippet to show your carer how to sign up for the membership again. It's pretty easy to do. She's missing out one little part on the page, but I will show her how to do that in the morning. We are sitting on 18,902 subscribers, way past the 1888 yesterday, and we're on the rise. So if you are finding this video and you're still listening at this point, make sure to subscribe. Get all your friends to subscribe. Get us to that 20,000 before the end of December. And on that note, have an absolutely fantastic evening to all you people that are still watching at this late end of the video. These are the ones that are special to the channel because you stick around to the end. You've been here for 54 minutes, and yous are the true stars of the channel. And I thank every single one of you. Yep, you. Yep. Anyway, have a fantastic evening.